So here's the film I was supposed to do for Slasher Sunday, but didn't. Because I'm trying to knock out all the 2018 films, I try to save movies that look like slashers for Slasher Sunday that were released in 2018 and so on. I watched this for Slasher Sunday. This isn't really a slasher, and it's not really a movie I would want to talk more than 5 minutes about anyway, because I just thought it was terrible. So there you go. That's why Slasher Sunday didn't happen. Let's talk about this movie, Headgame. So a bunch of people go to a party. They're drugged. When they wake up, they have cameras screwed into their head. They have 12 hours to be the last one standing, or they all die. There's so many things set up or started in this movie that are just either outright ignored or unexplained. There are so many questions left in the plot. There's so many plot holes. There's so many things that you just look at and you go, why couldn't they just do this? This film angered me. Like, I was watching it like, wow, you guys just don't even care at all. It was frustrating, man, because I get it. It's a low budget movie. You don't have the money to make the movie do everything you want and have it look the way, whatever. But these people wake up, they have cameras screwed into their heads. That doesn't really play into the movie all that much. It's just a gimmick, but it's fine. They show it on the computer screens. That's what they're watching through. They could have watched it through cameras set up around, but okay, they want the POV. That's not really used in the movie. We see it on their computer screens maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe a little more, but very seldomly and for like seconds each. It's so minuscule. So the whole camera in the head thing to me is pointless. If the movie played out found footage style and a lot of the scenes were done through POV, that would make sense to put a camera in the head, right? Because the whole point of found footage is to have that point of view of the character so you feel like you're there. If you put a camera into somebody's head, then that explains A, why they're still recording, and B, they have their hands free as opposed to having a camera in one hand so that they can actually be a little more, active. They actually have the use of both of their hands and whatnot. So there's a good reason to have a camera on the head. It's like a GoPro or something putting it on the head, but it's one that they can't take out. And if they do, they'll die. That's displayed in the film. One guy tries to remove it and boom, he dies. Not a huge spoiler. And I just, the fact that that's not utilized at all irritated me, since it is the gimmick of the film. That's what they named the damn movie after. That's the poster of the film. I'm like, oh, it's going to be an interesting, unique, found footage style movie with the camera in the head. And it's not because I had expectations. Like, I looked at the poster and go, that's what I want it to be, so I didn't get that, so I hate it. No, absolutely not. So they're walking around in this warehouse that must be the size of Disneyland, because they have 12 hours on the clock, and the time in this movie, they should have made the time on the clock like an hour or an hour and a half and played the movie exactly the same way, and it would have felt right. But because it's 12 hours does not transpire throughout this film. It just does not. It takes them 3 hours to walk through this maze that's cut out through pallets being stacked. That's how the maze is set together. Is these pallets that are laid down for a path for you to follow. Push the pallets over. Climb up on top of them. One character does, because you're thinking like, okay, well, maybe if they climb up there, a bomb will detonate. Maybe, some gun will shoot them. Maybe there'll be a, sniper up there who shoots you if you touch the pallets, whatever. Nope. One character crawls around on top of the pallets most of the time in the movie. Why wouldn't they all do that? Why wouldn't they push the pallets over? That makes no sense at all. Have them try to push the pallets over and push on them and be like, these won't budge. Try to get up on top, and as I said, have a fucking sniper up there who shoots you if you get on top of the pallets. Boom, problem solved. It's a 2-second solution. Okay, you don't have a budget, because that's what people will do. They'll take a movie like this and they'll say, well, man, come on, don't be hard on it. They didn't have much money. They only had the ability, pallets are expensive, so I don't know where they got so many pallets. But, they had a lot of pallets, so there you go. And they built a wall out of them. Fine, that's fine. Explain obvious things. Anyone who was in that situation would either push them over or climb on top of them instantly. You wouldn't even think about it. For that not to be addressed at all, and to have one of the characters actually do it, even more goes to my point of what a huge, gigantic plot hole this is. It's a big maze. And then there's, during that maze, because then you're like, oh, well, maybe they just wanted to walk it. Maybe they didn't fucking feel like climbing up there because they thought, whatever. They had 12 hours. Okay, but then there's traps. One, in particular, set along the way. Let's talk about that trap. So that's this trap that you have to time it out, and the girl figures it out because she's smart, and she has to stay in the shadows and the light, whatever. Doesn't matter. But she figures it out, and the people who are watching up in the tower that are watching it and betting on them, they're sitting there, and they're like, oh my God, she figured out your puzzle. Jesus, no one's ever done that before. Then the next group of people behind them come to it, and it's completely thrown aside. They get to it, and they're like, what the fuck do we do here? And then one girl goes, we don't have time for this. And then just starts to walk forward, cut to the next scene, and they've passed it somehow. It was a big, complicated trap before that these guys up top were like, holy shit, I can't believe someone figured it out. And the trap is so stupid anyways for so many reasons. Nail guns just firing across the entire time, like 20 in a row, like 5 back. So what, they have 20 nail guns on one row, then 20, and so they have like 100 nail guns that have unlimited nails that are constantly firing at all times. And what? They couldn't just climb up to the top and walk across? They had to try to time it out and run, but then the next group doesn't at all. But then the girl that's up top just walks right across as opposed to going through the path. Fuck. It's just stuff like that I don't care if the rest of the movie was decent. It's not. But that kind of stuff to me is aggravating. Because you sit there and you think about the script and you think about being there and you think about like everyone on set would be like, why wouldn't we just climb these pallets? Why wouldn't we just push these over? And just, for them to just be like, nah, like fuck all that. Like don't worry about that. That's irritating. Because I guarantee there was discussions on set where people are like, couldn't I just crawl up there? I mean, she's doing it. Why wouldn't we? That shit frustrates me. And then there's a key that they need to get, but it never plays into the movie because they go and they get it. And then I know I'm talking spoilers, but fuck, dude. It's ridiculous. They go and there's a key up there and this girl just has to climb into the rafters to grab it. And then they're fighting over it. And then they get to the end and it doesn't play into the movie at all. It's just there. And then the doors fucking opens up and characters make decisions that you're like, how is this warranted at this point? These people barely know each other. Then there's, a guy lights an entire room with freaking like gasoline on the floor, but it only burns a small little path and then sets the other guy on fire, but doesn't burn the entire rest of the room. It is, and then the whole the whole hierarchy of that watching this, and then they're having like drug battles. Like there's a scene where they have like a fucking drug off. Where like I can vape more than you, or something. Well, I can't remember what they even call it. What? And then the whole betting process you're confused on, the whole why they're even doing this, and they're forced to do this, and then like you make it or you don't, and the loser loses and dies, and the next person comes in and continues, and what the hell the point of it all is. Honestly, if it's explained in this movie, it got lost in translation for me. somewhere towards the end, because at this point I was so checked out and so irritated. I was trying to pay attention, I really was. But I was rolling my eyes and fucking breaking down so many bits of logic, being like, what? And this and that doesn't play into this, and why even address that if they're not doing this and this? And fuck, I can't believe I made it through this movie. Only because it was a 2018 movie, I was watching it with my brother, we were having kind of a fun time just being like, dude. He was on his phone half the time, I was like trying to make fun of it with him. Wow. Besides Death House, this is the worst horror movie of 2018. There was a lot of beautiful women in this too. You know, knowing me, people are like, oh, as long as there's a hot chick in it, Jason will be fine with it. Bullshit. Pretty much every chick in this movie is gorgeous. Didn't help the movie. And the acting is okay. It's not bad. It's not terrible acting. It's fine. It's what you expect from lower budget stuff, maybe even a little better. But that can't save the plot. It's convoluted, it's silly, it's nonsensical, and it's outright insulting. I'm sorry, I know, it's just ridiculous to cut down movies like this, but there's so many things that could have been done so easily, differently. Just tweaks. Make the key, make it have some importance. If it did, I didn't notice it. But why grab that key? If you grab that key, maybe all of them can go free, or maybe something. And the timer, why 12 hours? Why did it take them 3 hours to walk from one side to the other? Then 3 hours to do something else. Then like 4 hours to do something else. It was like boom, boom, boom. 12 hours? This film felt like they were in there for 45 minutes. There's no, like, yeah, I just, there's so many tiny little things that you could have adjusted and the movie wouldn't have been as ridiculous. I've mentioned a few of them, but I don't know. All right. I hate tearing movies apart like this. It's not fun for me. So fuck it. I'm out. Bye.